All right, hey, what up, everyone? This is Aquas, and this is the Shooting Game Weekly, episode 28, on G Darius. Hope you enjoyed the prologue there to this shoot 'em up released by Taito from 1997. G Darius is the fourth installment of the Darius series, and the first one to be 3D. And yeah, so this week, checking out a one credit clear replay from Smraedis. Radis. Sorry, man. I didn't get that quite right. But yeah, joined by SM and
Hi.
Icarus. Yeah, hey SM and Icarus.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And of course, Soda is doing the stream for us today. So yeah, so yeah, I have these. We'll be talking about G Darius today. So yeah. Darius, it's Taito's kind of main horizontal shmup.
And there his internet died. Hooray.
Oh my god. Oh, I can hear you. Oh no. Am I here? Okay, we're good. We're good.
We're good.
All right. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, Darius, yeah, the internet's been kind of weird lately. Hopefully it doesn't crap out too much. Anyway, yeah, Darius, Taito's main kind of horizontal shmup. They kind of did Metal Black, talking to you guys before this, kind of Metal Taito did, but Darius is their main straightforward shmup. I suppose I'll just go over the gameplay mechanics real quick here, and we'll get, and then after that, then the scoring, and then after that we'll get to the replay. But yeah, pretty basic. Throughout the game, there's a few different power-ups you collect. One for your forward shot, one for your missiles, and one for a shield. And you collect those by destroying the specific colored enemies. I think it's like red, blue, and green. I think it is.
Yeah.
And then also this game features a capture ball, which is also another power up you pick up. And the capture ball is an item that you can shoot at small enemies and large enemies to capture them, and then they fight along your side. And you can use them as well to. You can sacrifice them for a bomb, like a kind of typical shmup bomb, or as a large beam. Like a huge beam, you can sacrifice them for that as well, and that comes into play in the boss battles, most importantly, where you have beam battles with the bosses, in which the two big beams will match with the bosses, and you gotta rapidly tap the shot button. I'm not sure exactly, but then you overpower the bosses with the big beam. It's really cool. Definitely a main part of the game. So that's kind of the general mechanics of the game. As yeah, the capture ball stuff. The capture ball was in Darius Gaiden as well, but the beam dueling in G Darius is new to G Darius, and it's actually pretty cool. So yeah, that's the kind of main mechanics there. Also, the Darius series, if you aren't familiar at all with the series, one of the main things about them is that there are branching paths as you go through the stages. So at the end of the stage, after you beat the boss, you have the choice to go left or right, and the stages branch up. Stages. I think there's 15 stages. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
And then I think 30 different possible paths is I think what that arcade flyer was trying to say. And,
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
yeah, Soda,
Sorry.
if you want to go to that arcade artwork too as well, since I'm talking about the branching paths, take a look there. It's got a little bit of the arcade flyer artwork for you guys, but yeah, so it's got branching paths and yeah, 15 different stages, 30 different paths. I think Darius Gaiden, I think has more stages. I don't recall, but
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got 7 at the end.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot of stages in that one.
yeah, so the branching paths, kind of the main thing about the Darius series, which makes it pretty cool because you can kind of choose, you choose your path obviously, but certain stages are easier than others, some are harder than others, and some are like kind of bullshit with certain bosses you might encounter. I know that's kind of my experience with Darius Gaiden. Like sometimes I took a wrong path and got to a boss that just completely owned me. I'm not sure if that's completely the case in this game. I haven't played it much myself, but
It's not as bad in G Darius, I think. And Darius Cadence. Go on.
There's no Titanic Lance in this game, like no Zone M.
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, then the other cool thing about the series is that the bosses are like a big deal. They're always really big. They're big fish mech guys, and
Yeah.
they're always pretty cool. Like the bosses are probably one of the main thing about the series as well, which kind of captivate people. But yeah, so that's as far as the mechanics go for the most part. If you guys want to add any notes on that stuff, but then we can also go on to the scoring, which has to do with using your the beam that you use from capturing enemies. So if either of you want to kind of elaborate on that before we get into the replay, and we would be good.
Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, you can. I'll add anything that's needed.
Okay, well, basically with scoring, you've got base value for enemies, and that's usually applied when you use your shot or your missiles. But once you capture something, the shots from the enemy that you capture add a double multiplier to base value, and that also includes the formations as well. And then after that, you can use your capture with special attacks. For example, the bomb detonation will give you a 3 times multiplier for enemies and formations. The standard single beam is worth 4 times multiplier. There is the beam that you get from capturing the mid bosses from stages, which adds a 6 times multiplier. And then you've got the multipliers from boss battles as well, which go from 8, 10, and 12 times multiplier, but they're only applicable to the bosses themselves.
Yeah.
So the idea for scoring is to basically manage your captures as best as possible and to time them so that they are used on formations which have extremely high value. For example, in some stages, some formations are worth 30,000 points. So if you use a beam on them, it's like 30,000 times 4 or 30,000 times 6 in some cases. So that is pretty much the meat of your scoring there. And also there is an end of stage and end of game clear bonus as well, which will be quite high depending on whether or not you pick up all the 1-ups and get all the counters and stuff like that as well.
Cool, and yeah, you mentioned the different types of beams for the type of enemy. I didn't really mention that, but yeah. So then there's a small beam that you get from the small enemies from sacrificing them, and
That's
then
right, yes.
then a middle one from mid type enemies, and a large one for the bosses.
That's right, yes.
I was gonna ask. So I was watching the replay, and I was kind of wondering. When you capture the mid type enemies, do you need to weaken them to capture them first, or do you just shoot the ball at them at any time?
Most of the mid bosses have like a shield on their primary weak point, which you have to destroy first before you can capture them.
Okay. I was kind of wondering about that. All right, cool.
Yes, so you probably see quite a few times in Smraedis' replay and in some of the other G Darius replayers floating around that players will try and destroy that shield as quickly as possible before the mid boss can actually start firing its nasty patterns.
Okay, and then the other thing I forgot to mention too is when you're capturing the small enemies, there's all sorts of different types of enemies that you can capture,
Yeah.
and they all have a kind of a different utility. Some are like shields, and some of them like have a spread shot, which I think you see SM use in the replay mostly.
Yeah.
So there's all types of different enemies that you can capture, and it actually it's a pretty cool mechanic, I think. So.
Yeah, there is a lot of strategy behind which enemies you do capture and which enemies you don't, because if you're playing a defensive game and you're capturing certain enemies for particular utilities, some of them are quite useless in most regards. Some don't even fire bullets, so you need to be very careful about which ones you're picking up. But if you're playing for the scoring game, then 9 times out of 10 you'll be using that beam almost immediately to take out certain waves.
Gotcha. Okay. Any additions to the scoring that we should mention, or anything else related to the mechanics? Otherwise, we can get to the replay.
Just that the alpha beam lasts for 8 seconds, so you have to time it just right.
Oh.
So the easiest way is to just watch a video and see how long that lasts and how many enemies you can fit into that 8-second time slot.
Mm-hmm. There is a lot of strategy behind using a beam. You have to time it carefully because some waves do basically fly off the screen really quickly, so you have to make sure you catch them before they do.
Right. Also, one last thing I have to ask. I know Darius Gaiden was kind of weird with the auto fire. Is there a built-in auto fire for the PS2 version then, or in the arcade version? I'm kind of wondering about that.
Every single port has an auto fire, and it's always the same speed. It's not insanely fast. Like if you've seen, there's an arcade 55 million run, and the captured ship shots are so fast that you can easily milk more points with it, but the arcade version didn't have any sort of auto fire until G Darius version 2 came out.
Really? Okay. So, how's the auto fire rate in the PS2 version, which you played this on then?
It's good enough. It's
Good
just
enough?
you can't milk Great Thing.
Okay.
Like you'll score half as much as you would if you had an insane auto fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good to hear because I know in Darius Gaiden on the Taito Legends 2 collection, the auto fire rate was not fast enough, I think, was the problem.
The port's inaccurate as well, so it's not really.
Okay.
You shouldn't be used.
So like kind of I guess a good auto fire rate is one that you can do like on your own without too much trouble, and then just leaving it at that. That's kind of it's kind of a general rule of thumb I like to take when you have a shmup, where you kind of like you kind of like auto fire is required, but if you have it like set too high, it can be overpowered. So I like it's a good rule of thumb to just kind of use one that you can actually do a rate that you can actually do yourself, and then apply that to the game because that's probably how they intended you would play it in the arcade, right?
Yeah.
Well, unlike Gaiden as well, the autofire in G Darius doesn't really make a ship any more powerful.
Okay.
In Gaiden, you basically, if you've got a really fast autofire rate, then the game is trivial, basically. It becomes score attack, whereas in G Darius, you still have to play very carefully, and there's a lot of challenge still in it. So.
Okay, cool. All right, then. Yeah, I think we spent enough time prefacing this. I think we get to the replay then. All right, cool. We shall get to this replay. It's kind of a shorter game. I think it's like 25 minutes or like 30, maybe 30.
Yeah, the PS2 version is anyway.
Yeah.
Right, you mentioned the PS2 version's faster than the arcade.
Yeah, I timed the first stage from the point of when it says the stage to the point of when the siren for the first boss appears, and it's actually 24 seconds faster than the arcade version.
Wow, that's a big difference.
And even 44 seconds faster than the PS1 port.
The PS1 port was horrible for slowdown, man.
So is there a lot of slowdown, like when you're using the big beams and stuff like that?
It's just when a lot of enemies appear on the screen and when the bosses start moving around.
They're too ambitious with this game, I guess. Like trying to destroy those PlayStation graphics or whatever. All right, cool. All right, I'll do the countdown and we'll get into this replay for G Darius Taito.
All right.
Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Yeah. The logo is. That G is kind of funky, huh?
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of weird. It looks like a boss or something.
I think a lot of people think G in G Darius stands for gigantic, but I heard it actually stands for Genesis.
Gigantic.
Gigantic, yeah.
It makes sense for the story since this is set before all of the other games.
Yeah, Genesis in the story.
Yeah, I didn't really ask much about the story because the story is kind of crazy in these games. I know. Like I know at the end of Darius Gaiden, you have like the wall of text for the endings when it comes to the story, and it's like, wait, what? But they're actually characters in this game, which is kind of interesting. I don't know much about them though.
Well, you can see at the beginning here, SM has already captured the first enemy and he's using the shots to pick up multipliers from the different formations.
Yeah, all these enemies take one hit pretty much, so you can just use the captured ship shots to hit them. But
Yeah.
So that's what gets you the multiplier is the captured ship's shots.
Yeah, the captured chip shots, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool, gotcha.
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, that multiplier actually applies to everything, not just the last enemy in the formation as well. So you need to shoot basically everything with your captured chip shots.
If you kill enemies without with your regular shot, does it make the multiplier go back down then?
No, it's just base
Or
value. It's just
okay.
base value. That multiplier is applied
it's too.
while you still have your capture.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And here he's using the beam for the ~4, and he's timing it very carefully as well, because you should see at this point it finishes just as the mid-boss appears.
I see at the time.
Yeah, it's intentional that.
Yeah.
I see. So yeah, this is one of the mid bosses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all have special attacks which require like a fighting game style input motion.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one you do a Hadoken motion and it just quite good as well, because when it spins round it's invincible. So
Oh wow.
you can actually
Yes.
get things to smash it when it doesn't damage it.
So this is the iconic warning huge battleship approaches thing from the series. Classic. But yeah, that's just called Hadoken motions. Yeah, your smell there.
Yeah, you have to worry about your captured captain not getting too damaged at this point, because sometimes it'll just run out of health and then die.
Yeah.
Right,
There
yeah. And they block shots for you and all that, so
Yeah.
really handy.
Yeah.
And there the internet went.
Alright, we're back.
And the first boss is gone.
Alright, yeah, we had a little communication failure due to the gigantic boss. Interference.
I noticed you didn't go for the counter beam on the first boss. SM.
Yeah, I find it a bit risky, but yeah, I dropped 200,000 points for doing that. But
Yeah.
it's just consistency.
Yeah, of course. I usually try and go for the counter light because I usually miss the eye and the side cheek because I just destroy it with missiles.
Yeah.
But it's a consistent method, that one, to get over 200.
You get ×6 as well on the eye and the side plate as well, so you still gain more than if you didn't shoot them 2 bits.
Yeah. I think the technique done by Haruka in the 55 million video is quite hard to do, though. Definitely.
It's a bit time wasting, really.
Yeah. It's risky as well because you can lose your captain before you get a chance to do it.
Yeah, I picked the enemy from the 3rd wave because their shot is not straightforward and it's angled, so it's much easier to take out these waves. And this bit's quite hard to do without the Sword Knight coming out of them 2 things just then.
Yeah.
If the call drops again, either SM or Icarus, one of you should host the call.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Afterwards. That'd probably be better.
There you can see the Sword Knight coming from them 2 things, but it's not as bad because you're not in an alpha beam, so you can easily shoot it.
Yeah.
You can't shoot the gold Sword Knight when you're in an alpha beam.
It's annoying because they block beams as well, so you can't really hit your targets that well.
Yeah.
Especially in later stages when you've got lots of them flying around the screen.
Although that guy, the boss is just like, fuck this guy here, and just ran into him.
This bit's a bit annoying. You need to use the special shot there.
Yeah.
So what's the command? When you say special shot, are you referring to the command motion?
It's a half circle forward for this boss.
Okay.
You just roll the stick around and it usually works. There's a high scoring bit there because they give you 30,000, so ×2 if the captain hits it.
Gotcha.
This bit you don't want to shoot the turrets as fast as possible because the 3 lasers at the top start using the angled shots.
Yeah, that laser is really
really?
annoying. Like, yeah,
There,
this one, yeah.
that used to get me at first. And here's a high scoring bit. Using all
Beam
the
fins.
blades. Yeah.
Well, it's worth using anyway because you're at max capture balls now and
Yeah,
the captain's
so
coming
I
at this point.
missed that capture ball intentionally, so then I can pick it up just after I capture the captain.
Yeah.
So yeah, you broke off his armor there, then you captured him.
Yeah.
This is the PS2 version. By the reminder.
Yeah, the much faster version.
Yeah.
Fast.
I think you're going for the quick kill here, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a note, in the high scoring replay that's also floating around that takes this stage as well, Haruka, the world record player, actually loops this boss round once and takes out more of the later patterns for higher scoring, whereas SM just goes for the easier, quicker kill.
So yeah, it's the best part, the huge beams, right?
Yeah, the times 4 beam there, yeah.
Damn.
Best part of it.
Goku shit.
That's the only time you get to see the 4-full counter as well against bosses. That's one of the only 2 bosses that'll let you
Yeah,
do the
there's Fire
4 times.
Fox, isn't there?
Yeah, and Queen Fossil as well.
You said 4-fold, right?
Yeah, it's
so-
the go on.
Yeah. So that's like every time you build the laser bigger, that's when it it becomes a larger fold, or is that how that works? Or okay.
That's right, yeah.
And
When
you get a
use
bigger
this-
multiplier for that.
Yep, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
So most bosses you'll see a double or a triple counter, whereas there's only 2 bosses in the game which will let you do the 4-full counter. And it's good fun to see it as well. Like I think a lot of people who play G Darius think, "Wow, that's awesome."
It is really cool. I mean, I had never seen anything like that in a shmup at the time, for sure.
Yeah. And like we mentioned before, it did actually come from Metal Black, I think, the beam counters. And
Yeah, you can counter beams. It never seems really useful in that game, though.
No, but they did expand on Metal Black system for Border Down as well, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Border Down is quite epic to use those beams.
Yeah, you see a lot of beam countering in Border Down. It's really well played as well. So
Yeah.
This bit's quite hard because if you touch the bottom of the screen, you can die, and
Yeah.
that kind of like ruins the run. Also, the enemies are jumping, so if they just touch you, then you die as well.
yeah, it's quite risky at this point because you've still only got the 1-hit shield as well. So
Yeah.
you still need another blue power up to pick up the super shield, which will give you 2 hits per.
Right. Yeah.
And that captain has a dragon punch motion.
Mm.
Really.
Yeah.
But the attack is pretty useless though. It only
Yeah,
fires
it
spin
is.
out.
Doesn't reward you for the hard dragon punch.
No.
And there's no point of keeping it because you can just get cash in on that times 6 straight away.
Yeah.
Man.
Get the blue. There we go.
Yeah, so you take 4 hits now before you lose your shield.
Yeah.
So is there any objects that go through the shield or anything like that, or
Lasers, missiles, rocks, other bits
Okay,
of
the
scenery.
rocks will just kill you, if they just run into you, or do they eat up the shield really quickly?
I think they eat up the shield really quickly, but depending on how many hits you've got left, it could kill you straight away.
You usually end up with no shield, and then until you left that shield, so I could ram through that solid knight and then pick the shield back up.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. So you intentionally ram through that and used just a hit
because
there.
you could angle it right between the 2 bits of solid knight, and it will bounce into it, but sometimes it bounces backwards and captures the wrong enemy.
Yeah, it's not worth doing it that way. It's a bit risky, I think.
You could always just shoot it as well, but you want to capture it as quick as possible because there's enemies at the top and at the bottom with these flying rocks that start shooting at you.
You wanted the protection.
Yeah, but then
Upper.
there's another shield afterwards anyway.
Okay.
It gets quite manic at this point with all the rocks, though.
Yeah, this boss is usually where I sometimes die and end the run.
It's usually around stage 3 when the difficulty does ramp up, though, and most of the routes as well, not just the route that you take.
It's very common for Taito games.
Yeah.
You have to damage this boss as much as possible throughout the whole of it, because when it does the double beta beam, you don't have much time to kill the boss because it goes out of the play.
Yeah, it's a quick moving boss, this one, though.
Yeah.
That's a nice dodge.
It has about 5 or 6 different patterns, and you can read them all.
Yeah. I do like that save spot, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
The hitbox for your shield gets smaller when you've got less hits left, so you can go under it and not get hit there. Sometimes you get hit there once or twice, but don't get hit once at all. And it's just easy from now on.
Yeah, the portals thing, it reminds me of Akai Katana, now that I'm seeing
Incoming counter.
even though Akai Katana, obviously, newer game, had those crazy portals. Pretty. Oh man, that's another requested game for the show. Akai Katana, I'll probably do that one at some point. But yeah, already at the 4th stage here, going to
Fita.
Yeah, the last 2 stages are quite long, though, so...
Yeah. I find you can score more on Fita, so I always go upwards instead.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we didn't touch on, that the actual routes themselves affect the scoring as well. Certain routes are higher scoring than others.
Okay.
Yeah. It's usually the lower the higher scoring, but this just has so many 30,000 point enemies, waves, like here at the start.
That's one thing I'm missing from the route that I normally take, which is the all-up route, that stage 4 is just really low scoring compared to stage 4 on most other routes.
But the final stage is pretty weak until you get to the boss here.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself right in the front of the screen to get that wave where there's 6 enemies in a vertical line, because they all move really quick and it gets you 30,000.
Yeah, it's a difficult wave to catch, that one. I usually find it's quite consistent if you stay like in the vertical middle and shoot them that way.
Yeah.
So you only get that bonus when you destroy a whole wave, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
It is cool. Nice.
And that's just well timed to run out just before the last one, and then you have to catch another one for another alpha beam straight away.
Straight, but you missed that one though. That's a difficult one to catch, that one.
Yeah, I find it one of the hardest ones in the game, but it just runs out just a little. But yeah, I see my score's 11 million, and if not, then I'm not happy by this point.
Yeah. Capture ball management is very crucial in this stage, though. Definitely, you can't afford to waste them at all, and you need to be very precise with your capture as well.
I bombed this capture on the captain because it's really hard to capture. So you can get a ×3 on the enemy wave just before it, but I failed on this try.
Yeah, I like this one. It's just straight up like Gradius options type of thing.
Then pick up the shield.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
This one's a good captain, yeah.
Yeah, it has a difficult input motion though. It's forwards and then a half a circle forwards.
That spread shot is really good though. It's very powerful as well.
Oh wow, okay, there it is. That's cool.
Sadly, you use it up straight away.
It's nice that the commands are actually useful, like it seems like most of the time. You know, they said that one Dragon Punch one not that good, but
I'm quite used to doing forward half circle forward motion though from Guilty Gear.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think of another shmup that had commands for attacks. I know some other one.
I know Batsugan had commands to uncover secret scoring pigs, but I don't know
Yeah, I
if
was
anyone
just about
had
to
it.
say that.
Okay. This is another one though. I can't remember it.
Yeah, I
Maybe a
think it's
Psycho game or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, that
Death-
pattern's a bit difficult there.
Yeah.
And then you cancel out the lasers with the alpha as well.
Deathwings is generally probably one of the most difficult bosses in all the Darius games. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the hard bit, especially when you're facing left. You pretty much have to use your capture to cancel out the shots there as well.
Yeah. It's a good thing those. Go on.
If you want an easy kill, then just counter this beam straight away, and you can kill it there.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a good thing the capture that you do have is quite resilient though, so it takes a lot of bullets for you. Most of them usually just die in like 2 or 3 hits.
Yeah, this bit's a bit hard as well. Just follow that, and it's not too difficult.
Do the captured special shots cancel bullets too?
No.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
This time you're facing right, and the Solid Knight still comes from the right, so you can shoot it before it gets to you.
Yeah. Firing for a counter.
Yeah. Yeah, do one and then the other one.
I see.
Triple.
So the triple fold right there. Cool.
Yeah, sometimes you'll miss getting both of them if you just hover over both of them at once.
Yeah, you've got to take them
I
one at
see.
a time if you want to counter each one a turn.
That's why you did that. Gotcha.
Yeah, because sometimes the boss can actually counter your beams if you do it wrong, and they'll end up with a higher counter as well.
Yeah. And if it runs out, then you lose the battle and you'll probably get hit afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot going on in that last stage. Kind of hard to follow, actually, with all the different captures you were doing.
Yeah, it's a
That
very
type of thing.
technical stage. The stage falls on most of the scoring routes, so you have to basically plan it out very carefully.
And yeah, this stage, it's like Child of Eden or something, or
Yeah, I think this one is going back to Genesis in the story, so
Yeah. It's pretty simple. The hardest bit in the stage is the enemies that come up from the right, and they all fire these big, like, them shots that look like from Darius Gaiden. It's best to shoot them before they appear on the screen.
yeah. You go through with probably the most difficult captured enemy as well, though, because that one rotates all over the place.
oh, weird.
Yeah.
And at this point, yeah, you have so many missiles, and those missiles, you do pretty good damage, don't they?
They do, and if you sit at point blank, you can basically take out a mini boss shield very quickly with it.
I know in Darius Gaiden, it was all about trying to get your missiles on the boss's mouths and stuff to deal good damage.
Yeah, well, in virtually all the Darius games, including the most recent ones, point blanking with missiles is pretty much your biggest damage dealer.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Cool. Gotcha. Yeah, I like how when you get really powered up, they come from all directions.
Yeah.
And then a bomb again to make an easy capture.
I see. Oh, okay.
And it's best to stay right at the back of the screen straight after you capture that, because there's enemies from the top left and bottom left that fire quite difficult patterns. But if you just start trying to do the input motion straight away, you'll end up getting these enemies will weaken your captain. And the input motion for this one is a reverse dragon punch.
Okay.
So it's a dragon punch to the left.
So that's the green orbs that are coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're powerful, those orbs, though. They're usually quite good at dealing damage in later in other routes as well.
They don't last on the screen for long, and they take a while to appear, so you pretty much have to time it and make sure that you do the input right.
It's kind of fun.
And
It's
that's
good
it.
to clear out these big missiles, though, because they block your shot.
Yeah.
The Embryon.
This is a fun spot.
sometimes your captain will die from that first pattern, so I turn it into a capture beam straight away.
And you exploit a lot of the safe spots as well, don't you?
Yeah, follow the same motion throughout every single time you have to deal with this pattern. And there's two ways of doing this gibber fish bit, where either you can start the alpha beam on the first one and have to deal with the last one in the pattern, or you do it when the second one's about to hit you, and then you don't have to deal with the last one.
I think that's probably a safer one, isn't it, if you do it that way?
Yeah, because you've got 5 hits on your gold shield, and you kind of want to keep as many as possible for the last form of the boss, because you'll usually get hit a few times at least. Like if you go for the first one, then like there's about a 50% chance that you'll get hit from the last fish coming at you. But yeah, there's five waves of them shots, and then you rush behind its head.
Yeah, those big fish were worth a lot of points, I noticed.
Yeah. And that's why it's good to have the captain, because they're ×6 on the very first one. And I'm trying to not weaken the boss, so then I can milk that as much as possible.
So are you invincible, like when you're using the charge beam, or the beam?
Only for the first second.
Okay.
But because the beam is so wide and it cancels shots, it's got to be an angled shot that would hit you.
Okay.
Or if you crashed into something, it times out there.
It looks like it was protecting you pretty well.
Yeah, most of the beams are good for defensive use, especially the bigger ones. But you still have to be careful of scenery and non-destroyable objects.
At that bit, you're being held, so your movement is half the speed of normal, and it's doing them homing lasers at the same time. And there's no homing lasers. This is where it starts to get difficult.
Yeah, it's a pretty hairy boss once it gets up to this point. If you don't kill it after some point after this, then it becomes really difficult.
Yeah, the second time it does that, it starts firing a laser, and that's where I usually get hit. Because pretty much if that laser hits you, then you've lost your life.
Yeah.
And you have to know where the middle of the screen is for this bit.
Seems like there's quite a bit of planning that goes into finishing a good run.
So that's where you need your shield for that one bit. I used to have problems with this next bit where you've been held and it's firing that pattern, but because of learning how to deal with that pattern throughout the first section of the boss, I just followed the same motion.
Oh, it was was that like a tractor beam thing?
Yeah, you've been held.
Oh, okay. Does it limit your movement completely, or it look like you're moving a bit?
It drags you towards the boss. And
oh, okay, gotcha.
Moves about half speed.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. That's kind of hard to see.
And there's the indestructible orb thing for the final capture.
He captured like a Rubik's Cube there.
And that's a super powerful one as well.
It's like a million combinations, no wonder.
Yeah, I think endgame with 0 capture balls.
Cool.
Good run. Very good run.
It was a good run, and yeah, this is actually a fresh run too. I had SM. I didn't ask you specifically to do a new run, but yeah, you ended up doing this one recently, didn't you?
Yeah, it was just a few days ago.
Yeah, because I noticed it was different to the one that you posted a while ago on YouTube.
Yeah, so that's cool. I mean, yeah, it's really nice to have like a fresh run. Sure, I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it was nice to go back to the game after not wanting to play it again with how much I spent on the first time of playing it.
Cool.
If you
Yeah.
If you only picked it up recently and you got that score, then that's really well done.
It's nice to see the characters here. Something's happening.
Yeah, this is meant to be the birth of the planet Darius.
Really?
Yeah, as you can see there.
Adam and Eve story. At least it's a happy ending compared to some of their usual endings.
Yeah.
So this is a unique ending to that route, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because all the routes have a different ending.
Hmm.
And it went a little R-Type, kind of R-Type style there. The kind of, I don't know, I don't even know what you'd call it. Not like sexual, but kind of, you know. I know, like R-Type Final, I think, was the one that had the silhouettes of the two people lying down in the background.
Yeah.
Last stage.
Final stage A. That was pretty strange.
But that sequence was cool.
Mm.
Is what are the other endings like? Any like that stick out to you?
Oh, I can't remember most of them.
Yeah, I mean they are pretty weird, I guess.
Yeah.
They're all the manual says that they're the birth of a certain thing, like the new Silver Hawk, the Belser Army, the people of planet Darius, a new species of humans, and this one.
If I remember correctly, I think at the end of the Omicron route, the low route, that's when you see the Thema, isn't it? The enemies.
Yeah, the Belser Army thing.
Thank you for playing. Flashing. Really happy about that.
It's some cool credit music.
Good
It's a
music.
remix of the Stage 7 boss from Darius. And I think that's why it thanks the original makers of that piece of music in the credits.
Mm.
And you can spin around the background with the controls.
What the hell?
Yeah, when you're busy putting your input, the initials in the actual background moves, depending on which button you're putting in.
What the hell? What's with the technical ranks? Like, is that have to do with score mostly then, or
I think so, yeah.
like does it maybe consider a lot of different things?
I've read it in the manual, and it says it's part of many different things, like the amount of enemies destroyed, the amount of lives lost, the amount of time you've left bosses to last.
Mm.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
It's
Kind of,
interesting
yeah.
you would
So
yeah, it's interesting you would get Iron Hawk for that one though. Silver
Yeah,
Hawk is the highest.
I tend to get lower rankings when I won life the game for some reason, because one of the other things is the amount of power-ups that you have at the moment on your last life when you complete the game, and you complete the game with a full stock of, and it just doesn't make sense that if you die you lose all that stock and then you get a higher grade, so
Yeah.
it might be like reversed or something.
I don't get the rating system in all honesty. Like, it's pretty weird.
So T Key has a question in the chat actually. How much time did you spend on this 1cc? I guess originally.
About 20 hours at first.
Wow.
And then about another 20 hours to maximize scoring. A lot of it was watching me on video and just putting 8-second markers on it all and seeing where the highest scoring was, because there was no videos for this route.
Yeah, most of the routes tend to go to Omicron route, which is the highest scoring one. You never see routes for Lambda, for example, which is my route, and this one, which is Smraedis' route.
Really, it's just really uncommon, huh? Maybe on like Nico Video, perhaps.
I've actually looked on Nico and I haven't found anything for any of the other routes yet. Like I said, most of the players tend to take Omicron route because it's a higher scoring one.
I see.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that you can only score like 13 million on the boss, on the Omicron boss without auto fire, and it's like 20 odd million, like 21 million with auto fire. Yeah. So I never saw the point.
It might be worth trying to see how far you can get with it though, because it is a pretty fun route to take, the Omicron route.
Yeah, I could try it on like emulation with auto fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was surprised to hear that. Yeah, it took you 20. I was gonna say 20 years, 20 hours to one credit clear it.
Once I first got a capture device, I started playing the game a lot, and I couldn't get the no miss. I could 1cc it, but I couldn't get the no miss. But then it was STGT 2007, and then once the first week ended, I put one credit in, and I no missed it.
Oh,
And that was like 28.8 million.
Yeah, I remember that because I think I was playing G Darius as well, and I picked up the 21 from the Lambda route, and then you posted that 20, and I was like, oh god.
I see. And it looked like most of the like kind of I guess the learning curve or how it ended up being was like kind of the knowledge of kind of more like you kind of knew what was coming more so than like actually dodging a lot of stuff. Like would you like it kind of looked like in the last two stages though, like you were doing some weird crazy dodges. Like was that like is it is it like a pretty reliable thing for you to 1cc it, or I mean, are those is the dodging in stages 4 and 5 or
the only difficult part is the stage 3 boss and the stage 5 boss, the last fall. I have no problems with any of the rest of the game.
So
if I lose my shield, then I just play a bit safer.
I see. So yeah, so it is mostly like kind of you know what to expect.
Yeah, I know pretty much everything that's going to happen in the game already.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If you've got a pretty good route through, then you play very aggressively, and it makes things a hell of a lot easier than if you just sit at the far left of the screen and shoot stuff. You've got to be very proactive to score in this game. And it does help as well that when you do use your beams, you are defended quite well by the actual laser itself, so it does quite help to play the game for score rather than to play the game defensively.
I remember the first time I played this game, I didn't know about these mechanics, so I was getting to the first boss and I wasn't using the beam or whatever, and I was just dying. And it's just like, I think a lot of people, if they picked up the game and didn't know what, like, you know, any of these things, it's probably a really common thing, you know, they probably get frustrated. And I was actually kind of frustrated too when I played this the first time, so hopefully actually learning about, you know, the beam, the different mechanics and stuff, you know, and people see the video, encourages people to play the game and check it out, because I know I want to now. Well, about it.
It is true that the system is fairly obtuse when you first hear about it, but it is pretty easy to pick up as well. So it is worth experimenting with, you know, different beam timings and stuff, and seeing what you can pull out of the game, because there's a lot, like we mentioned before, there is a lot of depth to it. So it is worth just trial and error your way through the stages, see what works for you, and then just, you know, run with it.
Yeah. Do you remember in Taito Legends 2, which it appears in that compilation? Do you remember? I know they have like instructions for some of the games, like how to play them. Do you remember if the instructions were like deep enough to kind of explain the beam mechanic, or?
I think they were actually.
Yeah, okay.
I think Taito Legends does explain quite a lot of the systems for most of their games, just so that people can actually, you know, get into them and play them. So
cool,
it is worth checking out. But there are guides around as well. I think on Game FAQs, Shmups Forum Zach Keen wrote a really comprehensive guide to the game itself.
Yeah, that's very useful. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'll link that in the video. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
so it's worth checking that one out as well, and also just have a look around to see what replays are around. I know SM's got stuff on YouTube, and I've got stuff for the Lambda route as well, so it's worth just seeing, you know, what works, and have fun with it, to be honest. It's a really good game to pick up.
Yeah, it seems like learning it would be kind of fun, because it's like, I don't know, a lot of experimentation probably goes into grabbing the various captures, and you don't know when to get the captures, but then you probably eventually figure out the good timing to get them. And
like I said, there is a lot of trial and error, but once you do get something down, it becomes very, very good to play. And compared to, say, Darius Gaiden, which, like we mentioned before, when you've got the fast autofire, it does become somewhat trivial. This game is still very hard, even if you are playing it with autofire. So just go for it. It is good fun.
Yeah, those big beams. I mean, if anything, people want to use those big beams, right? Get the fourfold going.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If you really want to have fun, go for the, I think it's King Fossil and Queen Fossil, and just get the fourfold counter, because honestly, jaw drops when you see it the first time. It's amazing fun to see it.
Yeah, I just imagine like when this game came out in 1997 or whatever in arcades, like there's like the Japanese guys playing it, and they see the beam, the dual beams, and like the cigarette like falls out of their mouth or whatever. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw this. This was one of the games that was sold at one of my local game shops, and when I first saw it play, I was like, "Oh, I've got to have that," and I bought it. And honestly, I spent a few months playing it just straight up, and it was probably the best time ever.
Right, yeah. So that's the PlayStation version you're referring to.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Which has a lot of slowdown, I guess.
It does, yeah, it does have a lot of slowdown, but I think it's probably good to learn it as well that way
Yeah.
because once you are comfortable with the stages, you can play the faster version and play it, the way it should be.
I see. So yeah, the PlayStation version, PlayStation 2, and then
The arcade as well.
Yeah, the arcade version.
Right. Cool. Well, yeah, G Darius, pretty awesome game. I definitely want to go back and play it some more. And the graphics, I mean, they look a little bit dated, but it still looks like the presentation's pretty decent. Like I still think it holds up.
I think it's held up quite well. I think it'll be quite good if they ever do a HD version like they did with Raystone. That would be really, really good to see.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think
Yeah.
games like these could benefit from that because it's kind of on the like these PlayStation kind of graphics, like they're just like on that kind of cusp of being like looking kind of shitty, then looking like they should get a remake. Like it seems like it was pretty hard to get PlayStation graphics like looking right. I remember yeah, Einhander. I mean, that game looks great, but yeah, it's just like some of these games look better or look worse than others, I guess.
Yeah, some have held up. Say, for example, Ironhander and G Darius have held up quite well, but then you've got some of the early PlayStation 1 games which look quite bad, in all honesty.
Yeah. I like the stage variety too. In the series, I think they do a good job on that as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always liked about Darius. The stages are really well designed, actually. Yeah, G Darius has some of the best stages and the best stage backgrounds. It's good they've carried it over to the most recent ones as well, like Burst and Burst AC, because they're really good fun to play.
Yeah, I would love to play the Burst.
One thing I like about the series, and especially the newer games, is that the bosses take about half of the game. Like you spend about half of it on the stage and then half of it on the boss. Like there's no really quick kills.
I see.
Bosses are actually bosses in Darius. They're not like there to block you from going to the next stage. You're supposed to fight them. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, they're all about the bosses, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
That's why they have that warning, that big ass warning.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, yeah, definitely one of the most iconic games for that warning sign, I think.
Yeah. I think
a lot of shmups have those, but this one, I think, probably one of the main ones that people think of.
Well, when the warning comes up, you're supposed to take notice in Darius.
Yeah. Gotta remember what you're supposed to do. Like warning, yeah, take a look at your notes even. Cool. All right, well, I think, that'll pretty much wrap it up. Let's see, guys, anything else you want to mention about the game, or?
No, just if anyone's interested in getting it, pick it up for the Taito Legends packs. It's definitely worth going for. It's good fun as well. Learning the score may look complicated, but once you get into the rhythm, it's really good fun. So just stick with it.
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah, destroying the enemy waves and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. And the Taito Legends 2 pack on the PS2 is pretty nice as well. It's got a lot of good games on it.
Yeah, it's still playable even though the speed is a bit faster than normal. And still a one life cut is possible.
All right, well, I guess, that'll wrap it up for STG Weekly number 28 on G Darius. I know this was a requested one. I know just like a Darius game in general was requested, so hopefully those people are happy, and maybe someday we'll do another Darius game. I guess it would be kind of cool to do one of the original ones where you have the multiple screens spanning the horizontal way. I don't know how. I guess it would kind of work out because now we're in the HD age. Be able to have those multiple screens represented.
Yeah, I think that'll be SM again though, because SM plays a lot of the older ones, whereas I prefer the newer ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was into the original ones before Darius Gaiden came out, so I was just more used to it.
Yeah,
But then once G Darius came out, yeah, it's quite hard to go back.
yeah. I mean, my first one was G Darius, and then I looked at Darius Gaiden, and I love that game. And then I've been playing the newer ones quite often. So yeah.
SM, have you played the original Darius's and like an arcade cabinet, like the multiple
Yeah,
screens?
yeah, I have, yeah.
Cool.
It's one of the first games I ever played in an arcade.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
It's what got me into the series.
That's kind of amazing. Yeah, the multiple screen thing. I mean, yeah, Taito kind of took a big risk, I think, with something like that. But I guess it paid off. I mean, they have they still have that new Darius Burst arcade game.
Yeah,
it's actually in a couple arcades in the U.S. and I know it appears out here and there.
Yeah, they brought back the widescreen version, the format for Burst AC, and it's really, really good to play it in that format because the bosses are far bigger and it's more epic, and the game is a lot more manic than the PSP and the iOS versions.
Yep. So yeah, I'm glad we could check out this kind of iconic STG game, shooting game. It's one of the main series. Kind of sits alongside of like Gradius and some of the others. All these companies kind of have like their main series, and this was pretty much Taito's main one. So it's really, really great to check it out. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks, SM, for coming on. And
no problem.
And doing the replay also, the fresh replay. That was a really nice treat, actually. So thanks. And Icarus, of course.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Been fun. And Soda for streaming.
You're welcome.